Good morning, St. Louis. It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, so you know what time it is. It's time for the St. Louis Hustle Podcast with your boy Cortez Hustle, and she's back, Michelle A. And y'all know how we do, man. It is 2023, so we thought we'd give y'all a review of our 2022. What were some of the biggest lessons learned from our favorite episodes from last year? It's about to go down, so do me a huge favor. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand. Smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, and let's kick it this morning.
Growing up in St. Louis has never been easy, and most say if you want to succeed here, that you must leave and put down roots somewhere else because of the strong crabs in a barrel mentality here.
I don't know if I'm just an optimistic person, but to see people like Chuck Berry and Nelly make it in the music industry, or the Roberts brothers and Dave Stewart in business, or William Lacey Clay Jr. in politics, can we blame the city, or is it that people just aren't hungry enough?
We're talking to all of the movers and shakers in this town, from entertainers to politicians, social activists and organizers, and of course, entrepreneurs.
Is there a curse on this city that holds people back? Is there an unseen hand that decides who makes it and who doesn't? You're about to find out.
Welcome to St. Louis Hustle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the St. Louis Hustle Podcast. I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. That's my girl, Michelle. Hey. Today we're reviewing 2023. We're coming to you live and direct from the Monetize My Life Academy studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you have decided that 2023 is going to be your year where you're going to start a business or you're going to explode a business, we literally give you the tools, templates, training, resources, and support to grow your business, particularly online. And if you're trying to earn some monthly recurring revenue, we got you. All you got to do is go to monetizemylifeacademy.com. Shelly,
woo!
No, it's normally how was your weekend, sis? But I think it's more like how was your December, sis?
Man, right? Like for real. How was my December? It was full of highs and lows and mids and all kind of stuff. Just all kinds of stuff. You know, this is so jam-packed. I don't know where to begin. So we'll start at the end and work backwards. How about that?
Work backwards. Not really December, but through our whole 2022, man. We had some amazing episodes. Yep. We had some amazing guests throughout the year. We've done some amazing things, both professionally and personally, and we're going to share that with you guys today. I want you to do me a favor, though. Comment in the chat. What is one of the biggest lessons you learned in 2022? Biggest lessons you learned in 2022. Hang out with us. Michelle and I are going to give ours at the end. A couple quick announcements really quickly. For those of you who are already in Monetize My Life Academy, tonight we're doing office hours. And one of the things that helps every business needs is a great lead generation strategy. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. I'll have to put the link in the comments for our free Facebook group. That's right. It's 100% free. And this is where our office hours, our live discussions take place inside of that group. So you might want to join that group there. But that's what we're talking about. So yeah, Michelle, like it was a crazy year, 2022. And the end of it kind of got rocky for us both. And we'll talk about that. But y'all know how we do. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand if you like a free business shout out. And anything you want to say before you get the word of the day?
Yeah, because I'm trying to get this word. Y'all pray for the saints. Okay. It's going to get better in 2023. I gotta, it's funny because when you said 2023, I'm just like, it's 22. Oh, it is 23. It's just like a whirlwind. I'm like, you know, it takes a little bit for you to get into saying the new year, but I'm like, it's the her, y'all. I keep forgetting which way my bang go. I got a bang yang yang, as my kids say. I keep forgetting which way my bang.
She's perfectly coordinated the earphones with the streaks. Come on now. Who does that other than Michelle?
Who does it? Who does that? It's what I do. It's what I do. Yeah. So I'm gonna get it together though. This 2023. We out the gate. We off to a great start, and so y'all give me seconds when I jump into. I wish it was somebody out there, boy. I wish it was somebody, because I know the scripture I'm looking for, and I believe it's in John 14, and it might be John 14:12. But I think it's just fitting for where we really kind of need to go. It's where we need to go as a people. I think it's just, I just want to, yep, that's what it, look at the Lord. Thank you, Lord. Excuse me while I tell the Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord. Okay. Yeah, so we can kind of get that rocking. But yeah, I'm excited for the new year. Got to be better than last year.
Yeah.
Got to be better.
Doubt about it. No doubt.
It's got to be better. So yeah.
And what's cool about that, Michelle, when you say it's got to be better, I think people sleep on this. You know what makes it better? A decision. You decide if your 2023 is going to be better than your 2022. Like, it's a decision with what you can do in 2023 versus what you did in 22. Also, how you see 2023 versus how you saw 2022. It's absolutely that we have so much more control than what we think we do. And we just got to put forth the energy and the effort and the work. So we're going to get into some Michelle A. word of the day.
And now the Michelle I. word of the day.
You know what? I just made my mind up. Y'all forgive me. I got the sniffles this morning all over the place. My eyes running, nose running, everything running. So my word of the day, I believe it is from John 14. And yes, I was being real raggedy on the show. Some things ain't gonna change. Pray for the saints. But it was from John 14. I want to say it's John 14:12, but it is a scripture, a passage of scripture where Jesus was, getting ready to ascend back to heaven. And he was like, rapping with the disciples and just really encouraging them about who he was. And then he also took some time. He spoke to future Christians, about how we are to love each other and how if we love him, we have to love each other. You know what I'm saying? And if we love him in loving each other, he's with us in that act, right? And I think just with everything that we saw back during the year of 2022, we saw some of the gun violence rates climb to an all new high in 2022. I think the amount of, not just locally, but on a national level, the amount of accidental child shootings climbed to an all-time high. School shootings. And I think it's really, this is the season. It's always a season for love, but this is really a critical season where we really need to heed the words of Jesus. And loving him, being able to abide in him is going to help us to be able to abide and love other people the way we were meant to love them, right? And when we love our children and we love our neighbors as we do ourselves and the way that God has saw fit for us to do that, then that's when we kind of start to curve some of the things. Parents being parents in the home, before you send those kids off to school, raise them up a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I can maybe cut down on some of that violence when they go to school, when they feel bullied or harassed and they don't feel like they have anyone that they can reach out to, and it causes a reaction. Maybe we could cut down on that when people walk in the grocery stores and decide that they're just going to shoot up a grocery store. I think, love for me is always the key. It's always the answer. And we just need to just start sewing it into the fabric of our communities. So, I put that on the spot. I didn't have the exact scripture. I'm going to try to get it by the end of the show and make sure I drop it in the link for you guys. But man, we're going to start the year off just simply loving each other. That's it. It's simple. It's Michelle A. word of the day, y'all. Boom.
Boom. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Michelle A. word of the day, brought to you by Who in the Heck Do You Think You Are? Michelle has a wonderful book that you guys should pick up for 2022,
Yeah.
2023. It's all about
Gotcha.
self-awareness. It's all
Yes.
about understanding who you are and where you should be. So
Yeah.
jump in the DM if you want to grab a copy of Michelle's book. It is a blessing to those who invest the time to partake. So, Michelle, we wanted to really kind of recap our year. We'll sprinkle in some of the personal highlights and lowlights of our jam as we've experienced some stuff personally throughout the year. But as I look at the actual episodes that we started 2022 out, I don't know if you remember this one with the talk, right? We started 2022 out with the talk, and you just kind of in your word of the day talked a little bit about the gun violence and all of the things that we're not loving one another. Like scripture says, you got to love your neighbor like you love yourself. And part of the challenge is, Michelle, in 2022 and 2023, I don't think as many people love themselves the way they should. So if I don't love me, I can give two rats farts about you. And that's what makes it so easy for us to really kill and cause harm to one another. And that's why I believe your book is going to be such a blessing in 2023 for people to really cling to, right? But we talked about the talk that we have to have as Black people with our children about how to receive authority, particularly when they've done nothing wrong. Right?
Man, you know what, we as a people, I think it's kind of overall in general, because sometimes I want to say it's just synonymous to Black people, but I really don't think it is, because I really think if you put the average person in a situation and they're being accused of something wrong, they're going to have a typical reaction. But unfortunately, history has shown us it sometimes, kind of all the time, happens more to Black folks than it do anybody else. And that is a feeling. And giving your kids the talk that says, listen, even if you didn't do anything wrong, when you're confronted by authority, because what I'm finding out now, Cortez, and what I'm really, really, really realizing now is that, yes, it is, most times the police situation, but you're seeing this in schools whenever students are confronted by authority figures, teachers, principals, counselors, and they wow out, and it's so important to teach that behavior at home, so that whether they're in the car driving and they get stopped by the police, or they're at school in the hallway, there were more, I saw it on the news, more than 2 or 3 occasions last year where teachers and students were fighting. In some situations it was, students that just, were acting out, but then there were other situations where the teachers were in the wrong. The teacher or the security guard picked up a student, and that security guard, he should have been on WWE wrestling, and picked that little boy up and slammed him to the floor. Now, I don't care what it did. Ain't no way you should have picked him up to restrain him like that. You could have put him in the simple chokehold, something with his arms behind his back or whatever. But picking him up in the air over your head, 6'5", and slamming him. But how can we help our kids navigate that? That was a discussion.
And I think the question is this, Michelle. Like, let me put my conspiracy theory hat on.
Here he come. Conspiracy Cortez. Come on.
Because if we know that the school to prison pipeline is real. Right. We know that the private prison industry is about $1 trillion industry, right? When you and not just what the prisons make, but all of the other companies that piggyback on and serving the private prisons, right? What they make and all that kind of stuff. Could there be a correlation between them? And we're going to get to this because we had this talk on one of the episodes too, between Child Protective Services stepping up their intervention in the home as it relates to how we discipline our children. And a lot of us have really pulled back from, spankings and those harsher punishments. But could what we're seeing today be a result of the last 25, 30 years of don't beat your child, don't put your child in timeout? And now all of a sudden we had a bunch of kids who don't really know discipline. Because I know that's not the only way to discipline a child, but that's the only way some people know to discipline a child. And if you take that away from them, now they're raising children with no discipline. And those are the children who are bucking up at the teachers, they're bucking up at the counselors, they're bucking up at authority in the street, security guards, police officers. I'm just wondering if I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I'm saying we got rap music, and what else could we do to create some unruly people in society that makes it justifiable for us to lock them up to continue to feed the prison system? How about we remove the ability from a parent to actually discipline the child, right? Make some confusion in the discipline and the action within the home. If that goes away, then these children are not going to know how to respond to authority, and that's going to cause us to be able to step in and put our foot on some of these kids' necks and run them right through that school to prison pipeline.
Did I see? The only thing I heard in there was it sounded like you was advocating for spankings. Is what I heard. Everything else was like wah 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 wah, but it sounded like you was advocating for spanking. And you know what?
Beat the kids, people. Beat they $$, so that they don't have to get beat in these streets.
Man, that is all I heard. And praise the Lord. But I will say this. And wait, okay, one more thing. Some things just ain't gonna change. I'm here to pull the nucleuses out of what we talk about. And you said the word buck. You said kids out here bucking up. I'm like, we doing that 23? I didn't hear the B. I heard another letter. All I heard was the uck it up. And I was like, Cortez.
Bucking up.
Oh, okay. I was just like, we got to get your beatbox skills together so you can really, the B's. Whew. But yeah, I think it really does come down to, because kids start off at home before they even get to school. You know, they start off at home before they even get to where they interact with others. And not that the answer, and I will go back slightly, right, where we had this discussion in 22. Hell, I think we had it in 21. We had this discussion every year about the meetings. And I think that not every child is a whoop 'em child, right? And I learned that with my youngest, because I kept a foot in her backside, and she still did things, you know. So I think it is really about getting to know your child and finding the disciplinary style that works for that particular individual child. When they do act out, you can't let it go unscathed, because the behavior has to be corrected. If you don't correct it, then you do have what happens out in the street. You know, you do have that. But there has to be ways, I think, creative ways to be able to correct the child based on that individual. My oldest girl, she got about 4, she's 28. She got 4 whoopings in her life, her whole life. But she learned differently, you know, and so I'm finding out with my grandson, I don't think he's gonna be no whooping child. I don't think if you get his hands, he'll be like, hands hot. And still touch. What are you doing? Hot hands. Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I agree with what you're saying. Totally.
And the key is correction, right? And I think there's 2 things that the Bible says, if you spare the rod, you're gonna spoil the child. And I think people think spoiling a child is about giving them stuff. No, when you withhold correction, that's how you spoil the child.
Absolutely.
Like, it ain't about what you give them, as long as you give them correction when they mess up. Like, give them that too. Yeah, give them all of the stuff that they want and need to feel good in society and feel good about themselves. But when they mess up, give them correction. Whether that correction is a foot to the behind, whether that correction is, time out, whether that correction is, hey, how about you stop giving them so much stuff if they can't get their act together. Like,
man, for real.
That's the key, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Charlotte, happy New Year. What's up, sis? Glad to have you on the stream today. So then we moved from the talk in early 2022 to the other talk, which we got the police brutality talk, and then we got the birds and the bees talk, right?
Whoosh.
And the question is, in 2023, do you have to have that talk earlier and earlier every year because of all of the information that's accessible to the kids getting cell phones younger and younger?
Oh my God.
God. We are messed up because, and nobody wants to really solve for this. And what I mean by solve for this is I get the single mom who says, my child is 7. I want them to have a cell phone because I have to be preparing for work while they're on the bus stop, or there's a little bit of time between I can get to them and all of that kind of stuff. And really the solve for is, how do you create a financial situation to where you can be there for your children? Like, that is the true solve.
Yeah, that it really kind of is.
And I'm not saying that it's an easy solve, but it is. That's the answer. It's not the cell phone, right?
Yeah.
And these children are younger and younger and younger on the cell phone. And I promise you this, I don't care how respectful your child is and how obedient they are with not going certain places on that phone, they're going to go to school and one of their friends is going to show them some stuff on their phone.
You heard me?
You're going to have to deal with, right?
Exactly.
So do we have the talk sooner than we typically would have it in our households, coming up?
That, you know what, that's so good. And I remember, having to have that talk. Now my kids are older, so they didn't have to have cell phones back then. They didn't get cell phones, so they were like middle school, But you're right. You got a 7-year-old on the bus stop and you're 3 houses down. There's so much stuff going on. It used to be back in the day. I used to walk all the way to school, and my cell phone was boogeyman come. This right here, your mouthpiece. Run, you can scream and run. You can run, and you can scream and run. And mine was scream and run. And my mom was like, run in the zigzag pattern, baby. Run and get under, hop over cars, trash cans. And she taught me how to hood run. Right. But that's what we did back then, because the boogeyman, here's the thing, evil is evil. And evil hasn't, I'm going to say it, send all your correspondence to that guy. Evil is evil, and evil hasn't changed its face. It's still evil. Satan is still doing the same thing today. He was doing whatever back then. It seems it's more treacherous and more blatantly and all of that. But, they were snatching kids back then, and so the cell phone thing, I think, there has to just be wisdom when you give a child, because it's like putting a weapon in their hand, for real. It really is. There are so many things that can happen with these cell phones. And you're right, having to talk with them about the birds and the bees. And again, hindsight, because I gave my kids that talk. I didn't get to talk. My talk was, them your legs, keep them closed. You're welcome. That was it. Carry on. Have a great day. That's all I got. And so I try to have that talk with my children. But I really, really think, as an old lady, 51, I really think it is about teaching your kids how to honor themselves, how to, of course, honor a relationship with God, how to honor themselves, and that there are some things you just shouldn't be looking at. Because I think it's almost like the apple theory, right? That's how Satan tricked Eve. Ooh, you got an apple, you can't have it, but ooh, why can't you have it? And it's like, ooh, it's videos out there you can't see. Why can't you see? They just don't want you to know about what they be doing, But if you kind of put it out there and say, here's why you don't. Here's why you shouldn't. Here's what this can do to you. We do have to kind of start them a little earlier so that curiosity at school. I just say catch kids for school get them. You know, for other kids get them, because if you don't teach them, other kids will. So
yeah, and you talked about the Adam and the Eve, man. That just brings me to one of the things that I've done is I found me 2 online pastors that has been killing the game for me the last couple months.
Really,
and one of them broke down Satan's secret weapon.
Who is it?
I'm not gonna disclose my sources, man. I'm
Come on, man. Oh, damn.
So one of them is Myron Golden, and then the other one, and then he turned me on to his pastor, which is Bishop Malcolm from the UK.
Never heard of him.
They talk about Satan's secret weapon, and it is food and appetite. It's always been Satan's secret weapon.
Yeah,
if you can't get your appetite in line, then he's on you. Like that's amazing. So
that's
funny.
deep.
When you really think about it, it's like, what was the first temptation? It was food and appetite. What was the first temptation of Jesus when he came out of the wilderness 40 days and 40 nights?
Yep.
Food and appetite. Turn these stones to bread. Like, if you that dude, turn these stones to bread because you're hungry. And
he tried
it. It's crazy. So Charlotte says they are losing their 5 senses because they don't hear, feel, speak, or touch. Their focus is on that hand device. They really regress in their language, or they start talking like animated characters.
Come on, sis.
And that is true. But here's my counter to that, Charlotte, is we have to find the balance. Because if we do not find the balance, we're going to force our children to act, think, and behave like us. And we are technically analog in a digital world.
Yeah, that's good.
It's crazy that like the way we came up was right for our time because we were coming up in an analog time and we're comparing technologies. They are in a digital age. Like even the way school is teaching is like, come on now, you want me to memorize some stuff that I can Google in 5 seconds?
Right.
Like what? But let's use my brain cells for something a little bit more complex. Why should I be storing that when it's right here? Right. Yeah. So we have to find a balance to say, hey, you're in technology. You've got to know this stuff because this is the world today. But you also got to know how to leverage this stuff and not how not to become this stuff. So it's kind of a two-edged sword with me. I'm like, man, we can't stop the babies because if you do, then we're already behind some of these advanced countries, China, India. Like they're making the stuff that our children are playing with. Right. Yeah. Like so we gotta expose them to it in a way so that they can get on the other side of it.
You said their kids are making the stuff that our children are playing with.
Listen, if you ever got a chance to look at the comparison between what TikTok is in China versus what TikTok is here, oh, it's a different jam. It's a different jam. And they don't have access to it 24/7. In China, TikTok is all education.
Really?
Here, it's all buffoonery.
I was gonna say, leave it to Americans again. Oh, this could be used to educate and expand the world. Nah, I'm gonna do this dance. Yeah, I'm gonna do this dance. That's what I'm gonna do.
It's all science experiments. It's all research. It's all study based. It's all let's feed our children nutritious content. Here,
I haven't seen some videos for some Chinese folks.
No,
I've seen a few of theirs.
I promise you, they're probably US based. They don't play that in China when it comes to their TikTok, and if it is, their kids don't have access to it.
It must be an underground cell group tripping there.
What are our think about what our kids are not only watching on TikTok, but what are they doing on TikTok?
I don't even want to. Why would you even pull that cord? There's this little girl on TikTok bless her heart, she is probably maybe 10, if that old. I don't think she's 10, but she braids hair, right? Little biracial little girl braids like a grown woman. And so I thought it was cute. They started off the videos, her own page, with her braiding people's hair and braiding other kids' hair. And I thought that braiding her own hair, oh, that's cute. She's picking up a trade early, you know. But then they started having her on there dancing. And, you know, we talked about this, I think, last year. There is something about when you put a little girl on TV, on video, shaking and wagging and doing all of these dances. There are some dances, what I remember when I was a kid, my mom was like, you don't hunch, pop, or shake your booty. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? She would correct that behavior as a child. I can't dance I can't do that dance. But this little girl was just, baby, you'd have thought she was in a Luke video. And I'm just like, the parent probably was filming. But I was just like, why is this? And I agree. Why is this okay? Why is this okay for a pre-adolescent? She was a young one. Why is this okay for her? Because there are pedophiles out there that will watch that and get off on that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, it is all over, you know, and it's just, it goes back to the talk, and it goes back to what we allow kids to do, and what we teach them is okay. You know, not make them scared of it. My parents made me scared of sex, so I had to go out there and figure out why it was so scary. But we make them afraid of, and we just can't. We can't do that. We got to do better.
And that dopamine hit of going viral, right, for the parent, because I know the kids don't care. Like they had to
really don't.
What going viral is. So you got something positive going on that may not be getting the viewership. So let's transition a little bit and get into some stuff that is. We also had early in the year, we had some amazing guests on. We had Captain Clay on. We had Wesley Bell on.
Yeah. It was
from the Sip Spot. Were on.
Can we go back to Wesley and Clay? Shout out to them first of all. Shout out to our prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell and my dog Captain Clay. When I say they were, no disrespect to our other interview people for the year, because they were great too. When I say they were the funnest interviews, they were profound, because we talked about policing the community, and we talked about, you know, that from the aspect of, because I don't think Clay and Wesley were on the same show, or they weren't on the same show.
They weren't.
But they were two different shows, but one from the prosecuting end, and then the other from the policing, the community end. And man, those were two dynamic shows that I thought were phenomenal. They were not just fun, because Captain Clay is a whole character in itself. I keep telling him he needs to go on stage, and I will gladly manage him. Those shows were just amazing. I just had to just like really, really highlight them. Y'all should go back and watch some shows, because they were just awesome. So awesome.
I got to go binge some of that stuff. The brothers from the Sip Spot were dope.
They were.
Let's see. We also talked about bro codes and girl codes, and that was an interesting topic too. We're gonna get into that on the other side of this break. So y'all make sure y'all keep it locked right here, man. Don't go nowhere. We're having some fun today, just recapping our year in 2022. And we still got to get into some personal stuff, man, that went on throughout the year as well. So keep it locked right here. Hey, yo, my friend, let me ask you something real quick. Are you a coach, consultant, influencer with an expertise in a particular area, and you're looking to grow or expand a business, make some extra money online, start a side hustle? If you are, then this is for you. What do you know about PLR? It stands for private label rights. That means there are sites that you can go to on the web where you can buy content that is already written, everything from ebooks to video courses written by subject matter experts in your field of expertise that you can add to, take away from, rebrand, repackage, sell it as your own, and keep all of the profits. I know, crazy, right? But it's no different than a ghostwriter who writes books for authors. It's no different than a ghostwriter who writes raps or songs for other people. No different than a screenwriter who writes a screenplay, sells it to a big studio, they make the movie, and they make all the money and get all of the credit. You can do that in the digital marketing online business space, and you can have a product launched in 3 to 7 days. I've got a free guide that you can access by going to monetizemylifeblueprint.com. It'll show you the top 7 ways that people are making money right now from this type of content. So go to monetizemylifeblueprint.com, check it out for yourself. Now, let's get back to the episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the St. Louis Hustle Podcast. I'm Cortez Hustle. That's Michelle AAYE, and we are just recapping our year from 2022 and some of the most exciting shows that we had. We talked about bro codes and girl codes, and there's so much foolishness out there, Michelle, when it comes to what I call it false masculinity, right?
Yes,
what society says a man is and what a man actually is are two totally different things. What Hollywood says a man is and how a man should behave is two totally different things. Now, I will say this, and this has become my favorite quote from 2022, and I'm going to use it for 2023.
Okay. It
says, hard times create strong men. Ooh. And that's great, right? But then it says strong men create easy times. Easy times then create weak men. And weak men create hard times.
That thing just went in a circle.
Listen, man, when you really think about it, like this is the what we talked a little bit about disciplining our children and stuff. This is what our generation did. Hard times. A lot of us came up projects, ghetto communities, poor communities, and it created hard times and it created tough men and women. And we went out and we made things happen. And what was the first thing we say? I want my children to have everything that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And we started creating easy times for the babies.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing the ramifications of those easy times showing up in the lives of these quote millennials and these other generations below them. So we've got to get back to what true masculinity is in terms of what a strong man actually looks like.
You know what? I agree with that. That little trip you just took me on, I was like, whoa, I got a little dizzy with that. But it's very true, right? It's very, very true that kind of like that circle. You got to be careful with that. But I'll even say I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman recently about women, you know, and how we do what we do in comparison to the man in society, you know, and how sometimes we as women, I'm gonna probably jack this word up, but I think it's the right pronunciation. Is it emasculate men? Is that and sometimes it's known and then sometimes it's unknown, right? And it really does depend on how you were raised. Okay, if you're raised by a strong woman without a man in the house and it's just, you know, a woman with the kids, then you pick up a certain strength from your mom because most kids learn by seeing, right? But if you never learn what a woman is supposed to be in comparison to, I mean, not even in comparison, wrong choice of words. If you never learn what a woman is supposed to be in relationship to a man, then I think sometimes that's where that comes because they already see the absence of the male in the household. Then if you got a raggedy mama that talk about the daddy or whoever, the missing parent, then you form that opinion, right? That becomes your viewpoint on your life view on men. They ain't crap. They ain't there. I'm a woman. I'm strong. I can do it better. I can do it on my own. I don't need a man. And in reality, can you do things independent of? Of course. You know what I'm saying? We're all we're individuals just like a man is. However, my source, and I think y'all know this by now, my cadence of my source is always going to be the Bible. And God created woman for man. You know what I'm saying? Now, just over, thousands of years or whatever, that has changed and shifted, with the things that happen in life or things that happen in the world. But I really think that, here's where I might get taken down. Again, correspondents, go to that guy. When we learn our place as women, to stand as women, we stand strong. I'm not saying being weaker or anything like that, not at all, because God made us strong. But when we take on a role as a woman, and if we have that man in our life, backing that man. Now, if you got a man that you feel like you can't back because he is that weak brother that maybe Cortez mentioned, sucks to be you. You picked the wrong one. No, but doesn't mean it does. It really does suck to be you, but it doesn't mean that you don't get to be a woman, right? It still means that your job is probably going to be a little harder, but that don't give you the right to emasculate him. That don't give you the right to put him down. You still got to support him mentally, spiritually, and sometimes we see financially. It ain't always comfortable. I wouldn't want to do it. I've done it in the past. I wouldn't want to do it. But once you take on the role of being a wife, you still have to carry that out as a woman. And when I see in society, women step away from loving a man because of hurt and pain. Yes, I've had some of the most jacked up things done to me on numerous occasions, but I understand that it was the individual and not the role of a man that did it to me. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think we have to take responsibility for the energy that we put out that attracts the person that we ultimately end up being with, and the decision to make that we made to boo that person up, and then the decision that we make to stay. Like if that, because what happens in relationships is there's growth and evolution.
Should be.
And if that's not happening equally, then you're consciously making a decision to stay in a situation that doesn't serve you. So my other favorite saying is do or don't do, but don't not do and complain. Right. So if you're in a situation that you don't want to be in, don't complain about it if you ain't doing something about it.
If you ain't willing to change. When I tell you that's a pet peeve for me. Now you can complain about your man all you want, girl. I'm there for you. I'm there for you, girl. However, do not keep complaining about this joker and you ain't willing to make no change. Don't keep telling me about what Taquan ain't doing. Girl, you know what he did again? What are you doing? I want to know about what he doing. What are you doing? Especially now if you're married, again, sucks to be you. But if you're not married, man, this is the face. I'm like, release the crickets. What are you doing? You're complaining, you're scared to let go, but then that goes back to self-esteem issues. I done been in some situations where bros haven't treated me right, and I knew I wasn't being treated right, but because I had self-esteem issues, I knew the treatment wasn't right, but I was too afraid to let go. I didn't want to be alone. When I tell you this last chapter of my life, I've been in some of the most loneliest places mentally. But I needed to experience that aloneness. I needed to experience that aloneness with God to be able to strengthen my mind to not need to be in bad places just because I need to be with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And that to me is the key. I recently, I did a Facebook Live yesterday and I asked, what is everybody's the most important book you're going to read in 2023, right? And I've got some books on my list that I'm going to grab. I'm going to grab Myron Golden's Boss Moves. I'm going to grab, I already got Cash Flow Quadrant. I'm going to dive into that. I started rereading The Millionaire Next Door and some of my favorite titles I'm going to dive into. I always read Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, .com Secrets, and Traffic Secrets every year. So those stay. But the number one book I want to be focused on this year outside of the Bible, Michelle, is the book of Cortez.
Come on.
And what I mean by that is I literally took a flight assessment, right? This assessment right here.
Nice.
L. David Harris is a execution strategist, and he works with Dr. Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, ET.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he administered this assessment, and this is about 12, 14 pages or so, breaks down who Cortez is, how Cortez relates to himself, how I relate to my mate, how I relate to my business partners, how I relate in society, how I relate to things in general. That right there is my focus for 2023. And if you're interested in taking this flight assessment, he's allowing me to share it at a very reasonable price. Just comment flight assessment, and I'll put you in touch with David. But that's what we have to do. We have to take the time to sharpen our sword, sharpen our axe, right? And it requires some alone time. Like even when you're in a marital relationship, my wife and I are married. One of the things that I do often is when I drive Uber a few hours a week, right? And one of the best things about that is the alone time. The people who jump in my car, right, are like, there's nothing. I don't play the radio. Why? Because while I'm in between rides, I'm thinking, I'm meditating. So when they get in the car, there's no radio on, and it is the deadest silence you will ever hear.
You're that guy?
I'm that guy. And I hate that I'm really forcing them to be alone with their thoughts a lot of cases, because some of them don't have their earbuds, so they can't play nothing. They like, it's just quiet.
So
and I'm not talking.
How you doing?
They're not talking.
Riding. Nice day, huh?
But
you're not gonna talk, huh?
Time for your alone time, even in marital relationships. Like, you seriously got to find that time. So we talked a lot about a lot of stuff, but we're going to spend these last few minutes. Michelle, you and I both had some challenges towards the end of the year. You lost your dad. I lost my father-in-law. And it really, rocked us to our core. You want to share some of the takeaways because you had a different experience than I, because you had the hospice situation. In our case, it was sudden. Like, Letha was literally texting her dad. We were in Kansas City for a conference. We were listening to a saxophone player play live. He's a former drum and bugle corps guy. So she was like, "Dad, this guy's killing it on his saxophone." He was like, "Hey, I gotta get me one of those," right? And when I tell you, in less than a half hour later, mom-in-law called, he's not breathing, right? It went from that to that.
Wow.
Like it was that. But on your side, you had the hospice side. So you had weeks, as your dad was holding on. So what was that experience like, and what did you learn?
You know what? Edited version. It was surreal. It was it was my second parent, right? So I lost my mom in 2015, and watching, it was different. My mom had cancer. It was a different experience. And I kind of, I watched and traveled through, but I'll be honest. And this is probably my first time publicly admitting this with my mother. When she was, on hospice and had, dying of cancer, there you go. I drank all the way through that process. There it is. I said it. I drank so I could be numb. I drank so I couldn't feel. I drank so I could handle. Now, granted, I was still working full time. So, of course, I wasn't no alcohol. I was a drunk. I wasn't an alcoholic, doggone it. I never drank at work and in those scenarios. But in my off time, when I had to be tapped into her, if we wasn't at chemo or something during the day, in the evening, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. My 5 o'clock started at 3:30 or whenever and I stayed drunk to not feel. And I drank all the way through that process. And it was what it was. With my dad, I had entered a new season in 2022, and I wasn't drinking as much and at all. And then my dad, he felt sick, and he felt super ill in June. And by that point, I wasn't drinking at all. So everything I went through with him was very raw. I felt every piece of it because I didn't have the alcohol to depend on and make me numb. So I had to, the shouldering was the same. You know, I really shouldered 95% of it in both cases alone. But without the alcohol, I was like, damn, this is what it feel like. You know, but you know what? That's always, you know, all roads lead to Jesus. I will say my biggest takeaway from that was where in 2015, I questioned God about why would you take my mama first? You know, because me and my dad had this estranged relationship. Me and my dad we had a transactional relationship. You're my dad, I'm your daughter. This is what you do for me as my dad. This is what I do for you as your daughter. Boom. I love you generally. But that's where we at. There was no affection. There was no intimacy between me and my dad. And God knew what he had to do. And I'm so thankful that God's ways are higher than our ways. He did what was needed to do because he loved me. Now, not that he ain't love my mom and dad. They road. That was their road. It was separate from mine. But in my life, my road, he had to take my mama first. The work was already done there. I already loved her. It was him that I didn't really care for. That's where the work needed to be done. So the 7 years in between their passing, you know, God tried to. We had ups and downs. There'd be times on the show where I'd be like, okay, he did this. Oh, he did that. In and out of the hospital. And these last 6 months wore me out. But God gave me back at the end something that will make up for the whole 7 years. Really, it will make up for the last 9 years or really 50 years of my life, really. This last year and would focus on the last 6 months, because when my dad did enter the hospice situation and I had to not be drunk and there was no one else to take that away from me, I had to see him physically break down. And I had to see him physically where my mom was on the feeding tube. It was okay, no fuss. I had to feed my dad. He couldn't do for himself. And as he began to deteriorate, my heart broke. The compassion, the human side kicked in. And God had to use that though to break me, to have me see I was wrong. When you know better, you do better. And I spent my whole life worried about the kind of parent he wasn't when I didn't focus on the kind of parent he was trying to be. He loved me the way he was loved. You know, and he couldn't help that. But when I knew better, I didn't try to rise above it and meet him where he was. I just complained about it. And my takeaway was that in the last maybe 3 weeks of life, God gave me back over 50 years, that I got to the point where I would sit on the side of my dad's bed. You know, I'd help him eat his little Jello, and I would rub his hair. I would kiss him on the forehead. Me and my dad never had interaction like that. But I would kiss his forehead. The family joke is my dad's feet were always a hot mess, even before he got sick. And but as he began to deteriorate and he got so small, his bones would literally, his skin was breaking down. So even if he crossed his legs, it'd start breaking down his skin. His feet were kind of just, so they gave this cream. The nurse would come in, and hospice nurse would rub this cream on him. And so I didn't have to do it, you know, but God prompted me to start taking that cream and rubbing his feet. And to me, that was the most humbling thing, because no one ever went near them dogs. And I never experienced intimacy with my dad, even touching him or kissing his forehead or rubbing it, holding his hand. We didn't do that. I didn't want to touch him, but I rubbed his feet every day, that cream in, and I didn't, it wasn't a second thought. So as he did transition and leave this earth, my heart was for him. It turned into me being the parent, taking my child to kindergarten. You know they're going to be okay with the teacher. You know they're going to be okay with the master. You know that, but you don't want to leave them. I ain't want to leave the side.
That's powerful, Michelle.
I ain't want to leave them.
You said, listen to how much care you gave to someone that you didn't care for. Like that part right there, like
breaking.
It's amazing, because we got to remember that we the Christian in the situation, right? I don't know your dad's relationship with Christ,
Man,
right? But sometimes we as Christians don't act like Christians, right? And you know what I thank God for every day? I thank God that Christ wasn't a Christian.
Man.
Because we might not have got saved if Christ was
right. Seriously. For real. Could have ended different if he acted like us.
So with my situation, I think it was hard to watch my wife hurt, right? It's hard. Like there's times where, as a man, you just can't do anything. Like when my wife has a migraine, I can't do nothing about that pain that she's experienced, right? When she would have her women issues, I can't do anything about it. When we put our dogs down, I couldn't, other than just hold her and try to console her. It's the same thing with her dad passing now. It's like, I gotta watch her hurt and go through this pain. But she was so strong through it and got all of the services together. And I spoke a little bit at the funeral, and I had a confession and a challenge, right? The confession was that he meant so much to me and I never told him, right? See, I lost my dad at 11. And even before I lost him, I had only lived with him a couple years that I could remember. And he worked 2 jobs. So I never saw him. I can't think of an intimate moment more than 2 or 3 with my dad. So I had this emptiness in my life that he filled, and I never told him, right? He is literally the only grandfather my children have ever had. Remember, I lost my dad, so they never met me when I was 11. My dad's stepdad, Grandpa George, they did meet him when they were very little. We went to a family reunion. They met him, but they didn't have a relationship with him. My mom's dad, I've never met. So he is literally the only grandfather my sons ever knew. And talk about breaking my heart watching my wife hurt. As I look back and saw my sons crying, it was hard. And my baby boy, and really all of my sons, this is the first major loss of a loved one. They'd never done a funeral before. Like it was tough all the way around. So my confession was to the mom, my mother-in-law, that, you know, he meant so much to me. Like he filled the void, and so much so that I didn't even realize the void was full. I didn't realize that I no longer had the void because of him, but I never told him. So the challenge was that you got somebody in your life that means something to you. Tell them, and tell them often. Because they shouldn't have to guess about the impact that they're having on the lives of the people around them. And it's only been 3 weeks, and you don't want to have to live with the regret of not telling them or wondering if they knew in any way what they felt like. So that's the challenge and the breakdown. So I learned my biggest takeaway is to be more present and to speak life and love to the ones that I live for and love. And it's funny because my love language is words of affirmation, and I still find it hard because I was not always affirmed. I find it hard to do that with my sons, and I think the rainbow in this story is that for the first time in 10 years, I think 8 or 9, 10, it might be 8 or 9 years. I want to say 10 though, that I had all of my sons in the same city under the same roof for the first time in 10 years. Like that's wrong. They do their own thing. Like one of my sons live in Texas. The other one goes to school in Kansas City. So this was literally the first time in almost 10 years that they were
Wow.
all in the same place at the same time. So that
Wow.
was a blessing that came out of it. And I got to tell them all how much I love them and how much they mean to me. And we shared some wonderful moments. So
That's good.
that's how we closed out 2023. Like, he died on the 17th, and we had his service on the 30th, right?
Wow.
So now we're just trying to figure out how mom-in-law is going to make it, because literally they've been together since they were 16 and 15 years old.
Wow.
50 plus years.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
crazy,
Wow. Wow.
right? So
That did. Wow. He passed on the day that we had the homegoing, and yeah, it is. So he was the 17th. My dad passed the 5th of December, and Christmas was different. My birthday was different.
It hit different. Man.
Yeah, but we learn and we grow. You tell your people that you love them. So yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is already 8 o'clock. We feel like we had some good time. And we appreciate y'all so much, man. Those of you who listen to us live, those of you who listen to us on the replay, we got some new things coming up in 2023. The new website will be revealed probably next week. We've got a new process for guests to come hang out with us. We're probably going to open up a couple primetime hours for some special guests. We're meeting some very interesting people in the St. Louis area who are doing big things that we want to share them with you guys. So, hey, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate you. We're going into year number 3.
This is our third season.
Number 3.
This is our third season.
The St. Louis Hustle Podcast, man. And we want to continue to be faithful to the mission and the vision that God gave us both. So we appreciate y'all, man. Until we talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. So hustle up.